Wales voters have chosen to return the coalition to power for another 4 years and for the first time elected a woman as Premier. As it stands, the coalition is 1 seat shy of majority government, with the Liberals losing 1 seat to Labor, the ALP's only gain. The Nationals dropped 2 to the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party.
Baby! Can I give you a cuddle?
The campaign's over. Now Gladys Berejiklian's basking in the glow of an historic victory.
My party has not had a third term in this state for half a century. It's not something that is achieved easily.
It may not have been easy, but the result was better than expected. Gladys Berejiklian may still form a majority government. Labor, meanwhile, is considering a leadership change. Despite high hopes, Michael Daly delivered a primary vote of just 33%.
I got the leadership with 134 days. I worked as hard as I could. I don't think anyone can doubt that.
I certainly wouldn't be happy with a 33% vote in May, but we're working very hard every day.
After the coalition's catastrophe in the Victorian campaign, the result couldn't have come at a better time for Scott Morrison.
And in 2 months from now, we'll be back here celebrating another Liberal National Government return to office.
While Gladys Berejiklian's victory comes as a major relief to her federal colleagues, most agree there's still a lot of brand repair to do before May, and their issues haven't gone away overnight. Especially in the bush, the Nationals lost 2 seats to the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers, and 2 more are in doubt.
And water isn't flowing for both environment, community and for farmers. They'll be asking questions and they're not getting answers from us.
This is the price they pay for regional neglect. This seat's hurting. There's a lot of people out here. We've seen a massive decline in quality of life. We've seen our population go backwards, our health services stripped away. Then there's the lingering issue of the party leadership, around which Barnaby Joyce continues to hover.
So what's your advice to Barnaby Joyce?
Spend more time in Tamworth and less time on TV.
Well, people don't like when we navel-gaze. They don't like when we talk about ourselves. They don't like when we're talking about personalities.
Well, I think it was challenging for us. I think the electorate was a bit confused about there are essentially two campaigns going on at the same time.
This campaign's dispensed with.
See you, Scott.
Bye-bye. Lovely to see you.
Now Scott Morrison's biggest test begins.
Nick Dole reporting from Sydney. Well, the Morrison government is taking heart from the win in New South Wales, but the result also highlights the inbuilt tension between the coalition partners and their differing campaigns for the city and the bush. National Affairs correspondent Greg Jennett is at Parliament House. Greg, how brittle is the relationship between Liberals and Nationals federally?
So, Jess, for an election that didn't move much parliamentary furniture around and which saw Labor's vote plumbing new depths, there's actually precious little here for Nationals in particular to savour from this victory. And that's because in northern New South Wales and in central Queensland, there are at least 5 super shaky seats held by Nationals, and I think you can expect greater product differentiation now, or a longer leash, if you like, for the Nationals to run on as they try to distinguish themselves from their city-based cousins, in particular on issues like water management and coal-fired power. And just on that, Jess, there's a surefire indicator of this because Barnaby Joyce, we understand, is going to take campaigning into his own hands in central Queensland very shortly to try to defend those seats, and he is the greatest exponent of product differentiation, certainly needs no encouragement to practice it.
So, Greg, the New South Wales election was one of the last major obstacles before the Prime Minister calls the election. What does he do now?
So a little bit of unfinished business to get through. On Tuesday, Scott Morrison wants to be in Brisbane for a meeting with the tech giants Google and Facebook about uploading violent videos. This, of course, in the wake of Christchurch. There's the budget here in just over a week, and then a very narrow window of options for a 5 or 6 week campaign. Jess, that would land an election on the 11th or the 18th of May. Just finally worth noting that the government is pressing an argument that continuity is now at large in the Australian political landscape. This after the return of governments in Tasmania, in Victoria, in Queensland and now in New South Wales. The obvious counter is though one that Labor makes, Jess, and that is that this is already a second-term government and one that boasts 3 Prime Ministers since its inception. So expect to hear a lot more of that toing and froing in the campaign proper.
Greg Jennett, thank you.